Welcome to military upgrade. The Kremlin has said it sees no significant reason for optimism about diplomatic solutions for the Ukraine crisis, ahead of a meeting in Brussels between Russia and NATO's 30 member states. As Moscow was playing down the chances for success at the negotiating table after initial US-Russian talks in Switzerland on Monday, Russian forces deployed near Ukraine conducted a live-fire military exercise involving 3,000 troops and tanks, in a clear rejection of US demands for a de-escalation in the region. A Russian delegation will hold talks with NATO's 30 member states on Wednesday, in the first NATO-Russia Council meeting to be held since 2019. The idea behind the talks is to broaden the bilateral discussion begun by the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, Wendy Sherman, and her Russian counterpart, Sergei Ryabkov, in Geneva. Sherman and Ryabkov pointed to the useful and professional nature of the Geneva talks, in which the U.S. proposed reciprocal confidence-building measures limiting missile deployment and military exercises in Europe. But Ryabkov said the negotiations had made no progress towards fulfilling Vladimir Putin's central demand: a guarantee that Ukraine will never become a NATO member and that US troops and equipment would be withdrawn from former Soviet bloc countries in Eastern Europe that are now in NATO. So far, let's say we see no significant reason for optimism, the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, told reporters, adding that Russia was looking for quick results and would make an assessment of progress at the end of the week, following the NATO talks and a meeting on Thursday of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, is due to hold a press conference on Friday. There are no clear deadlines here, no one is setting them. There is just the Russian position that we will not be satisfied with the endless dragging out of this process, Peskov said. The US has firmly rejected the key Russian demands on NATO enlargement and troop withdrawals from Eastern European countries that joined the treaty after 1997 as non-starters. Julian Smith, the US ambassador to NATO, said Russia would get the same response from all members of the alliance on Wednesday. In our prior consultations and meetings with allies, it has become crystal clear that not a single ally inside the NATO alliance is willing to budge or negotiate anything as it relates to NATO's open-door policy, Smith told reporters. I cannot imagine any scenario where that is up for discussion. As for NATO returning to its old posture before it began its Eastern enlargement in 1997, the ambassador said, I think we're operating in today's world with NATO as it stands today, and I don't think anyone inside the NATO alliance is interested in going back in time to revisit an era where NATO looked a lot different than it does today. Kadri Leak, a senior policy fellow at the European Council on Foreign Relations, said the approaches followed by the US and Russia were fundamentally incompatible, with the US seeking to reduce the talks to technical arms control issues while Russia wanted to use them to redefine Europe's whole security order. In Moscow's view, the arms control agreements should follow the logic of the newly agreed order, not substitute for it, Leak said. Whatever the outcome of this week's diplomacy, she predicted it would likely shape Europe's strategic landscape for many years to come. As 2022 begins, and you're joining us from Belgium, there's a New Year resolution we'd like you to consider. We'd like to invite you to join more than 1.5 million people in 180 countries who have taken the step to support us financially, keeping us open to all, and fiercely independent. The year is already shaping up to be hectic, with a cluster of elections, France, Brazil, the US to say the least, economic pinch points, the next phase of the pandemic, the gathering climate emergency and the first Winter World Cup. More ominously, independent media faces a critical year, with autocrats across the world rolling back press freedoms, shutting down newspapers such that free, impartial information is becoming the exception rather than the rule. We are determined to resist this. With no shareholders, billionaire owner or rogue despot to worry about, we set our own agenda and provide trustworthy journalism free from commercial and political influence to readers in almost every country of the world. And those readers can access our work regardless of ability to pay, because our journalism is free for everyone everywhere. While others commoditize information, we seek to democratize it, providing a vital perspective for millions whose own press has been dismantled by dictators.